Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's fitness magazine. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to amazonsfitmag.com. The podcast is also brought to you by GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because with photos worth 1,000 words, videos worth a million. And GPS Photography and Video, Amazon's fitness magazine, that is a publication of GPS Photography and Video. My guest, and this is such an honor for me, 8-time Miss Fitness Olympia, Adela Garcia. She's a promoter, coach. So honored you could join me on the podcast. Really appreciate you stopping by. How are you doing? And how are things in Texas?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Glenn. I'm doing great. Everything in Texas is good. It's a little bit, the weather is perfect today. Thank God.
Mhm.
But other than that, thank you for having me. This is
Yeah,
exciting.
yes, definitely. And so, like one of your first fitness shows, you actually flew from Puerto Rico to North Carolina. So that's where I'm at. So, I mean, that had to have been quite an experience. But how did you really kick off into fitness?
I was working at a base in Puerto Rico, and I was just teaching aerobics classes there. And I saw this flyer that said fitness in North Carolina, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. So it was back in 1994, I believe, and I don't even know how I got ready. I used to follow the Muslim Fitness magazines, and then back in the day was the Fitness America, and I remember watching the girls, and I'm like, wow, I want to do that. I want to look like that. I remember seeing Mia Finnegan and just her body, the muscle. It was so pretty. The routine, it was nice. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try something like that. And I went to North Carolina, got second place, and fell in love with the sport.
You remember where the show was in North Carolina?
It was a uh, Armed Forces Championships. That was the
Okay.
name of it.
So was it
Yeah.
on
What
Fort
was that
Bragg
again?
or Fort Liberty?
I don't remember. Eric Hillman was the one that used to have that show.
All right, we're back. Streaming is hanging a little tough today. But
Yeah, it
what do
is.
you remember? You remember where it was in North Carolina?
Yeah, it was Eric Hillman.
Okay.
Yeah, he that was with he used to own the Europa
Okay.
supplement, and yeah, that was the show that I did. And then after that, I went over to I went to Chicago for the Nationals.
Mhm.
Back in the days, they were giving 10 pro cards because they were trying to build fitness. Because I mentioned that before, we only used to have bodybuilding, and then we used to have fitness, so there was no choices there. So that was the only. I didn't want to do bodybuilding. I was not big enough then, so I decided to do fitness, and I fell in love with the sport. Went to that national shows. There were about 70 girls competing, looking for a pro card, and I remember I placed in the top 30 something. I didn't get my pro card there, but then I continue. Finally got my pro card in 1999. So a long time ago.
So you started in fitness, never went to another category, never looked back. When you look at it, few competitors get a pro card, although people think a lot of pro cards are given out. It's not a given. The next level, very few win a pro show, let alone make it to the Olympia. You won it 8 times. What do you
Yeah.
attribute? What do you attribute your dominance to? Now, Irish Kyle has 10. Linda Murray has 8. Um, what makes you so dominant? What made you so dominant then?
I honestly, when I started competing, I never thought of, yeah, my goal was to get that pro card. But I also understood that there was things that I needed to work on when I got my pro card in 1999. Prior to that, I was always having difficulty with the fitness round because I have no background. So
Mhm.
I have no gymnastics, no dance.
which
No,
makes it even more impressive.
so thank you, but I have nothing. So I was very intimidated when I competed my first show when I went to North Carolina from Puerto
Mhm.
Rico. So all these girls, they were beautiful, and they have all these beautiful muscle, tall girls, blonde hair, and I'm like, oh my god, this is something different. Um, and but you had I ended up learning that it's not just about the whole pretty look, or it was just for fitness. It's something that you got to think about putting yourself. My way is like, if you want to do something, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna get it. So once I got my pro car, before I got my pro car, like I said, I was having a lot of trouble with the routine, and every time I keep going to Sandy, I say, hey Sandy, what do I need to improve?
Mm.
Say, oh, your routine, your routine, your routine. It's almost there. Your physique is there. It's your routine. So I ended up taking a break and hire a choreographer from Miami.
Mm.
I went all the way. I used to live in Chicago. Went from Chicago to Miami. Stayed there for a
How long
whole.
was that break?
It was like a whole year.
Okay.
Um, so I said, if I'm not gonna if I don't have a good routine, I'm not going to compete until then. So once I got my new routine, I showed up to the USA Nationals in California. It was back in the days in 1999, and we used to have two class the short class and the tall class. Um, and I ended up winning the short class and got the overall. I got my pro card. They used to give the top two in each class a pro card, so I got my pro card and the overall. It was so exciting. So it was nice,
Yeah.
and I won the routine round then too. So
And now it's less rounds, so many more props. It really is a show. How long the fitness routine is? How long?
it's the fitness routine is 2 minutes. So in the
Okay.
pro division, when I turned pro, then we had a 45-second routine. That 45-second routine was 6 mandatory moves. It was high kicks, side split, middle split, straddle hold, pike hold, and the one arm push up. But then, and we also used to have a one piece run as well. So they wanted to see how the physique look. If you have physique in the two piece, you should be good in the one piece. The 45-second round was judged in a black cat suit, so the judges were able just to see those mandatories what they were looking for.
Mhm.
And then we had the 2 minutes. But as time went on, I feel with adding more division, then figure came along. They had to kind of get rid of some of the rounds because it was taking a lot of time. So
Right.
the first one was they got rid of the one piece, and then they got rid of the 45-second. So fitness, it's been having a lot of changes over the years.
Right.
And I see the girls trying to figure out why we don't have more girls competing, why we don't have more promoters promoting pro fitness. We all have fitness in our show in the amateur level. We just don't get anyone to compete. I still have awards here. It says overall fitness champion, but they never get it. I don't get any fitness competitors in my show anymore.
Mm. And I was recently at the Jay Cutler Classic in Richmond, Virginia. There was one women's physique and there was one fitness. And so now to hear all the, I saw a recent post on Instagram and I sent that to you. And the competitor was talking about, you know, the lack of fitness slots in all the shows and the sanction fee and everything like that. So it's like this is deja vu because this is where women's bodybuilding was or is, and the same with women's physique. How do you get women competitors to show up? Number one, because there's so much involved as a promoter, from sanction fees and the cost. What's the fix? How do you do the recruiting? um, to get the numbers up. And as a case in fitness or any of the other six divisions. Speaking from you being a promoter, what do you think the fix is?
Well, I mean, we've been trying to think about different fixes. Like at one point, you guys should go to ex gymnasts and try to talk to ex gymnasts. You should go to cheerleaders and try to recruit them. But when I was competing, I practiced at a cheer gym. I go to different cheer
Hmm.
gyms to practice my
Hmm.
routine. The girls saw me there, so it was like, okay, they wonder what I was doing, and every time I do stuff, they're like, "Oh, do you do CrossFit?" And I'm like, "Does that look like CrossFit?" And in a cheer gym, like,
Right.
no, this is fitness. This is what we do. They were
Hmm.
super impressed, and they always, "Oh my God, you're so strong!" And I'm like, "You can do it too."
Hmm.
But it's just, I just feel like this is a different type of generation nowadays, and to do fitness is a different mentality. It's just like you really want that bad enough for you to
Rose.
make the sacrifices to compete in it.
Right.
So it's just one of those things that we try to wrap our head like, what should we do?
Hmm.
And we have this channel on Instagram where all the fitness girl communicate. And
Right.
once I get on that channel, I tell them, I said, look, stop focusing on promoters that don't have fitness. Let's focus on the promoters that are promoting fitness, and you guys start showing up. That's what we need to
Right.
do. I mean, like just trying to get money to or sponsors that you're telling them, hey, can you please have fitness? If I get 10 girls, will you have fitness? I said, if you guys do that, then you're gonna be it's gonna be bad for the other promoters that are promoting fitness. I
Right.
mean, my goal was to make this show big and get a lot of prize money.
Right.
But it's like when nobody's showing up, it's like as a promoter, you have to think about, should I continue to lose money, or it's at the end of the day, it's a business, and you don't want to just every time you do a show, promote a show, just you don't want to go broke. You want to make that show
Yeah.
better and better for the years to come.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit. I just feel with the fitness division, we always trying to figure out what to do. And
Hmm.
I don't see that in any other division. I just think like it, they just need to compete.
Yeah.
Just compete and don't worry about anything else that is going on around you. Like that's just the main thing. You guys got to compete. I know at the Linda Mary, from what I heard, it was only like 4 or 5 competitors, and
Yeah.
Tim
I was there.
Gardner's. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I mean Tim Gardner only had like 7, and those are shows
Yeah.
that they don't want those shows to go.
Right.
Especially, I would say the Tampa Pro, and even with the girls, I even said it on our communication. I said, "Come on, girls, Linda's show, 8 time Miss Olympia, my
Yeah.
show. Come on, let's make
And you're
these
supporting
shows
another
better."
female promoter, and a
Exactly.
female competitor that did it at the highest level. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can say
Yes.
the same thing of the Triple O Dynasty as well. You know, they got to show up. And if you got a female promoter that did it at the highest level, former Miss Olympia, and you're not showing up for them, then, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say or how to motivate you.
I mean, it's a so that pose, which it was one of the fitness girls. So we started
Mhm.
like, we need to talk about fitness. You guys need to, because the girls, they just don't like to post their training when they're getting ready for a show. They kind of stay quiet. So this year I was a little bit concerned, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm only gonna have 4 girls, and if that's the case, I'm not gonna have fitness next year. Because every money that I got from sponsor, I put that
Right.
money into their prize money and the sanction fee. So
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I cannot do that. I mean, it's like it's and then adding a natural show as well.
Hmm.
So, but I got 9 girls, and I was so excited, and the girls are actually pretty. they're so nice. Like there was one of the girls, Ellie is her name. She competed last year and this year, and she always writes me this
Mm,
letter, handwritten letter, and I love it. And they're just very thankful. But at the same times, we need them to start. If you're gonna do that show, tag me. Like let's just
yeah,
make
right,
noise because that's
right.
the only way that people are gonna know, what fitness is all about.
And who's coming and who's even going to be there as a fan? Because
Yeah.
you wait on the competitor list, like, well, my favorite competitor is not going to be doing this show, or they don't even have the division. What's it worth to go to it?
Yeah, but it's like it's at the same time, like we even told them, I said, look, if you don't want people to know that you're gonna be there, because sometimes the girl is, you know how
Right.
it is, like, oh, I'm just gonna work it silent. I'm like, no, just you gotta make noise about the show. So people are gonna, oh, let me see, that's what you do. I wanna come see you. I wanna see it in person. It's totally different from watching it on,
Oh my God, yes, yes,
yeah, when you're
yeah,
there and you see that, it's amazing.
yeah,
The type
yes.
of thing that you can do with your body. And for me, I
Hmm.
remember, like I was told at one point, you will never win any of the big shows like the Olympia and the Arnold, but you probably win the smaller show. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay, that sounds good.
Watch
I'm
me.
gonna prove you wrong.
Yeah,
Yep. And my first win was back in the days. Like if you always wanted to win the Arnold first,
right, right,
and then the Olympia. So
right,
I remember seeing Jenny Worth. I think it was in 2002, and when she won the Arnold, and I saw her. She was so excited. She was crying. She was jumping up and down. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to have that same feeling. Like I want to feel like that. I want to be that. I want that to be me. And then when it happened, it's insane because I remember I ate winning the Arnold. I slept winning the Arnold. Everything I did was about winning the Arnold.
right.
And you know, it came to reality. And when I did, I remember Arnold coming in to talk to me. He's like, so how do you do to win this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I'm so excited. Thank you. Just crying.
Yeah,
um, you never forget that. And then that year is like going to the Olympia and winning the Olympia. It was like, wow, this is insane. Um, and of course, as you win, things kind of take go to a different level where you have to continue to raise the bar and get better and get better. Win new skills because there's a lot of girls coming behind you and they're looking at you. So once you're on that top spot, everybody wants that spot too. So you want
yeah.
to try to fight to not to lose it.
Well, as a fan, it's very impressive to me. As I saw my first fitness show when I went to the Arnold's in 2017. I was there to watch the women's physique, but then when I saw Ariel Kadar, she came out and did Predator. Uh,
Yeah.
Oksana Grashina did Michael Jackson Joker routine, and I was like,
Yes.
I, I was, I was hooked. I was like, this is amazing. Um,
Yeah.
how do competitors, and just asking because you don't know, you ask, a lot of when they start doing the tumbles and stuff, and I saw it at Atlanta and again in Tampa, I'm like, man, how you had that stage measured? Because it just looked like they're gonna run out of stage and flip off the stage back, backstage down the stairs. Uh, what are some of the things that fans don't know that competitors go in the size of the stage? Uh, is there a routine screen prior to props and things like that?
But for props, for anybody, like we used to be able to bring props, whatever, but then
Right,
I think at some point they were just getting out of control. So
right, yeah.
to
But I
get
love
for,
it.
yeah, like, I mean, I don't think I ever use props.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think I did because I know at one point, like Sandy, the judges didn't like, especially Sandy, she didn't like seeing the girls using anything to do the holes from the floor. Like
Right,
whenever
right.
you do
Oh,
the
okay, yeah.
straddle hole or the pike hole, it's harder whenever you have to do it on your hands, right? So,
Mhm.
but at one point, like it was just getting out of control with the props, so they had to approve that. Like they had to let us know just for insurance purposes, just in case something
Yeah, yeah.
happened.
Mm.
Um,
There's a
I remember when
liability.
I saw Missy got a big old cage that she brought in. It was
Yeah,
incredible. Um, and otherwise, like when she jumped out of that thing, I'm like, oh my God. So
yeah,
that's the year that she won the Olympia.
yeah.
Um, and so for the props and the stage, like the best stages for fitness competitor is the Performing Arts Center, because that
Right.
stage is for that.
Right,
Um,
exactly. I was going to ask that.
yes,
They're not going to change the venue just for fitness, but when you talk
yes,
about the high dynamic moves that you guys do, it is a factor. The type of stage and the floor.
yeah. So for at the back in the days, we used to a lot of promoters used to do Performing Arts Center.
Right.
Um, but as time went on, for myself here in Texas, I started at the school Performing Arts Center, which is only like 5 minutes from my house. So it was awesome. But as the show got bigger, we had to move to another Performing Arts Center that it was very nice. Back then, I was doing the silk, so I was performing at my show. But what happened is that the athletes were a little bit not the best taking care of the venue. So we used that venue, I believe, for 3 years, and they kicked us out. Basically, they didn't want us to have the show there any longer. So
Mhm.
that's when I started with the Palm Riven Center and then the Austin Convention Center. Um, the performing arts centers are great. I saw one promoter the other day leaving a message say, "Hey, promoters, stop using school auditorium to have your show. It's very 1900." And I'm like, well, it's all depends. So, you know, it's not 1900s, just here in Austin. You cannot get a venue. I got to do whatever I can to find a venue because we got to keep our shows within that same time frame. Uh, I have my show is always in June. So I like to keep it the same time frame. So,
Right.
but the only thing that the challenges with that is that you want to make sure that you have a big stage if you have fitness. So, I make sure that that stage is big enough for them, and they love it. They actually loved this year's event because the stage was huge. So, and I ended up they have a projector, but it was
Hmm.
one of the newest one, and everything turned out amazing. Like it looked so pretty, and the stage was amazing with the projector screen on the back. People thought that was a real banner, but it was a projector, and it was very nice. But unfortunately, I cannot go back there because it's just in Austin. There's a lot of things to do.
Right.
In Bastrop, it's like, what can I do here? So that's I always make sure that the stage, the girls also like to have carpet
Yeah.
on the floor. So because I can hear every time that you flip on those, whenever they have to put the stage together, it's not as nice to land on those. The Olympia
No.
always have done great. The Arnold stage was always a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I remember the way it was. It was like this plastic thing, and you got to be very careful um,
Right.
because of the oil on the floor.
Hmm.
So for the stage, it's just got to make sure that the stage are big enough for those girls. And if I had to use carpet, they love the carpet. I just
Yeah.
keep it like that.
Injuries are a part of every sport. And the ACL injury, and speaking from a football perspective, back in the day, Kurt Warner, Seattle Seahawks running back, never really came back from his knee injury. And they could say it was the turf and different time, and then medical science progressing as well. And they were talking about it was 2 years for someone to come back from an ACL injury. And you may only get as better as 80% is what you could expect. Then when you move ahead, and the other guys like Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, I think he had two ACL tears. And these guys were back in 8 months, and speaks highly of medical science and everything. But
Yeah.
when you look at the Olympia last year, and you yourself, something that you share with Missy Truscott, both of you had ACL tears. And here's, happened at the Olympia, the biggest stage, and it was so traumatic to see. And it's definitely going to be one of the big stories to cover this year at the Olympia, her comeback, and watching her YouTube channel and everything. But talk to me about the injuries in the sport. What did you go through with your torn ACL? And this was an injury that you and Missy Truscott share. How did y'all help each other with that, or how did you help her?
Well, my injury was I call it a free injury. I was practicing a move. I think it was the side movement, lateral movement, and it was one of I call it my crazy monkey moves that I did, and
Yeah.
I just heard a pop, and it was
Oh,
in 2008. I was prepping for the O, and I felt it. I felt it through my whole body. Like I knew something was up. I was able to walk out of the gym, but when I went to my doctor, he said, "Hey, it's my the chiropractor." He said, "Let's do a box jump and see." So I did, and he's like, "I don't think it's your ACL because normally you won't be stable. Your leg won't be stable.
right.
But I'm gonna run. I want to send you to get an MRI right away." I got an MRI, and I got a call from him. So I got good news and bad news, and I'm like, okay. He said, "Well, you're not competing at the Olympia, and you're gonna have to have surgery. Your ACL is completely it's tear. You can see the blood
Wow.
on the MRI." And I'm like,
Wow.
oh, I was so sad. I was so it's like I never thought that I will ever get injured, and I think that happened because it kind of humbles you down a bit when it happens. It's like it can happen to anyone. And then I just right away
Right.
I
It
scheduled
can.
surgery, and I made sure that I found a good doctor. And the chiropractor that was I used to go to get treatment. He works with one of the university here in Texas State University, and he told me, "I'm going to send you to a good doctor." So the doctor who did my knee is somebody that worked with a lot of athletes. So I
Mm.
got my surgery done. I know at the beginning it was kind of depressing because I wanted to be at the Olympia. Um, but sometimes it's like, time for maybe your body needs a rest. Um, so I decided I got my surgery. I started doing the
Uh,
physical therapy. So I decided that I wanted to come back and do figure at the Arnold. So because in my mind I was okay. So
mm-hmm.
then let me do figure in 2009 at the Arnold, but it didn't go well because I was not ready. Like I need to have somebody to tell me. My coach said, you don't have a leg. What happened? You look like a pirate. One of you, my the leg
Wow.
that in your leg didn't have enough muscle.
Right.
So because I
Right.
just instead of me focusing on getting healthy, I wanted to compete so soon and get back on stage, even if it was in
Mm.
figure. That no, it didn't. It was
Yeah.
not going to happen. So then after I was told no, you cannot do it. I just started training and focusing on the Olympia for 2009. Um, it was kind of devastating, but at the same time, it's like what? I remember putting the routine together. The routine kind of evolved because
Right.
I couldn't do a lot of things, but I used that time when I was recuperating from my injury that I started doing a lot of upper body strength moves. So I kind of got into doing a lot of handstand,
Mm.
perfecting that, and the whole routine is a vampire routine. When
Yeah.
that routine came back, it was like totally different, and it was perfect. Like it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite routines ever. um, so for me, like coming back, I used to have to wear a brace just
Mm.
for my own sanity. Um, because the first thing that it's like if I can do a straddle jump, I know my leg is okay.
Right. Right.
Um, so whenever I that happened to Macy, especially when it happened on stage. Like it was,
Right.
I, she's been training. I mean, like through the whole prep for the Olympia last year. I saw everything that she did, and it's like she was on. Like
Oh
it was
man,
like
it was
full
over. Yes.
from head to toe, like her routine and the time. And that's what I love when girls put that energy into making their
Right.
routine to
Right.
telling a story. Um, and that happened. It was devastating. But through the time we spoke, and I said, look, it's gonna get ugly, it's gonna get lonely,
Mhm.
but trust me, you're gonna be fine. And she's doing things that I was not able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, like in her body, if you look at it, like it's like you can't even tell.
If
You
you
can't even
follow her
tell.
YouTube channel, it's like
Yeah,
never knew you had an injury. Um,
yeah, I know.
yeah, it's such a horrific injury. My son actually had it during his college football career. And the thing about it, my main thing when I played football was always my ankle. But for him, they use a cadaver ligament to fix it. But the issue was the mindset. And he was like, Dad, what if it happens again? Uh,
Yeah,
and finally, he had to get back out there because you got scholarships and other different things. Money's, it's just the end of your football career. What would you say, or what would you tell not just Missy Truscott, but any athlete? So when you go back out there and what you guys do, gymnasts, and you're thinking, okay, if I do that tumble, if I do that box, whatever, um, you know,
it's any kind of prop
what
is
I'm
gonna
trying to
happen
do, yeah, you
again.
kind of it's gonna pop it again. How do you get over that psychological mindset? Because it is a fear factor for it. Because you got to overcome yourself.
I think it's slowly, like I was telling Missy, slowly, it's gonna be kind of scary, but for me, I had to do a show before the Olympia. I just didn't want to just
Okay.
go straight to the Olympia, so I ended up doing the Europa, which
Hmm.
is in Dallas, and it was awesome because I got like my husband family was there, my chiropractor was there, all these people. We were doing a documentary at that time, so once I got on stage, everybody was just like, "Okay, is she gonna be okay?"
Right.
And it was awesome. Like
What were you
I'm
going
like,
through at the time? What got you over it?
me, it's like I don't know. I just coming back. It just you cannot think about any of that. I think at the Olympia that year, I remember, the girls. We are always friends, but at the same time, we have our rivalry. Like, hey,
Yes.
I like
Right.
you, but I'm here to win.
Right.
Um, I remember for the Olympia, I just, I just remember like I was getting tired, and then I'm like, whatever, I got to do this. Like this is
Right.
it. And you just get this energy. Like it's kind of hard to explain. Like
Yeah.
you don't hear anything else. Just your body's trained to do that. So that's
Hmm.
what I did. It was awesome. Um, and any athletes, any injuries, like you just gotta follow through with what the doctors tell you. Don't try to get ahead of the game. You have to go to that rehab. You
Right.
got to
Right.
do everything the way they're telling you. If not, then you're going to have complications. And that is with any type of surgery. We don't like being down, but at
Right.
the same time, maybe, that is a way for you to get some rest and kind of set back up, like get your mindset again and get back up there. I mean, in any sport, anybody is going to get injured. That's just
Yeah.
part of life. So nobody wants to go through it, but it's just part of the sport. You
Yeah.
know.
Champions always rise, and kudos to you 8 times. Miss Olympia Fitness, and it's not
Yeah,
to be because we may never see it again. And the rivalry so deep. That whole Olympia was just like it's like if you were driving down the Interstate I-95, you saw a car accident. Whitney Jones with the dislocated shoulder and coming out there, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I mean, what else
that
is going to
girl,
happen?
Vinny has so many
Yeah. And
injuries.
Ariel Kadar later said she had something going on with her foot, and I'm like, geez, you know,
Yeah,
fitness to me is amazing in that regard. because y'all do it every day and you risk injury every day, even in prep and doing your routine. So it's definitely gonna be the comeback story of the year. Rooting hard for her, and you can't help but like, okay, hope she gets this back because this was amazing to me.
Yeah, no, I think it just, especially for her, I know it's going to be very special, getting back into that stage. And
Yeah.
it's just, I know a lot of the girls. I know that for me, like I know a lot of people whenever they get ACL surgery,
Hmm.
um, I did a lot of research because I wanted to make sure that I got the one that it was going to be the strongest. And for me, it was the patella tendon.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Missy did the same one. It's very painful and it takes a little bit longer to recover,
Yeah.
but it's at the end it's just one of the best, because the other ones, like I know they take from the hamstring
Hmm.
or the cadaver too. It's like a
Cadaver.
body, yeah,
My
a
son
body
did a
strap.
cadaver. Yeah.
Yeah, for the ACL as well.
Yeah, it was a torn ACL. So
Yeah.
he had a cadaver through it. What gets me, this was in 2010, 2011 time frame. When was your injury?
2008.
So when you look at the medical science, skip ahead to Missy Truscott's 2023. It's incredible all the stuff they can do from the rehab perspective, surgery perspective. And like I said, you look at her YouTube channel, I'm like, man, it's like it never happened.
And I
So
think she actually had more than just the ACL too. So for her,
right.
it was a little bit more challenging because I think something with her meniscus too. So it's a little bit more than, you know, for her, like seeing everything that she's doing, I'm like, whoa, this
Yeah.
is amazing. I say, you are
Comeback
in a
story
good
of the year.
place.
Yeah. It's just one of those human interest stories that you watch and going into the Olympia 60 years, like, man, this gonna be something to watch to see her come back from this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who has the bigger trophy? Sarah Viegas trophy, you saw that one? And
Oh
then
my God, that was so
Missy
awesome.
Truscott's Missy Truscott's trophy. Which one's bigger?
I think they're both about the same size. I
Yeah,
think Sarah just added the racers, the
yeah,
platforms. But Missy trophy was like, it was incredible. But the good thing is that you can take it apart to
yeah,
travel and then put it back
yeah,
together. So that was awesome. Like
yeah.
I tell the girls, I know I saw a few posts somewhere, people talking
Yeah.
about the trophy, and I'm like, man, people are so just mean.
I love
Um,
it. It's
it
gaudy.
was
I love
amazing. Like
it.
she went out of her way, like
Yeah,
got all that trophy custom
yeah,
made, just like
yeah,
that. That's her on her strategy.
yeah.
They took a picture and boom, it was awesome. But
It rivals the high school trophy, sure.
I think hers is Sarah's is pretty big. It was
Uh-huh.
she made it bigger this year too.
Yeah. Oh wow. I know they're amazing, and any competitor would love to win them because I'm like,
Yeah,
that makes
that's
a statement. That makes a statement.
see. I would like to have somebody like Sarah in the, like
Uh-huh.
that can come in. It's like want to give back that way into the sport,
There you go.
into fitness. Like come on, we need somebody to do that in fitness as well.
Yeah,
So
$15,000 prize money is amazing. You've been
yeah,
a promoter. You've been a promoter since 2011. The ins and out of being a promoter, you guys catch a lot of hell. Um, Prize money to why you don't have a certain category at your show. What's the fix with that? Because I mean, can a sponsor come in and eliminate zero risk to the promoter by paying the sanction fees as well as the prize money? Is that an avenue? Because now competitors say, okay, it's going to be at the show. You're going to make $10,000 as top prize money. This is an example.
mhm.
And the sanction fees are paid. So it's no risk to the promoter. Is that an avenue? Is that even an idea or something to consider, given the legalities, or what's the right way to give, I guess, to a promoter?
Well, yeah, like I do have. Whenever I decided to have fitness, Liquid Sun Rays, the tanning company,
Mhm.
they, she was more than willing to back me up when it comes to the sanction fee. She's been Marilyn's been sponsoring my show for years, so it was nice. And like that first year, also I had Missy as she put the prize money for the girls. Instead of giving $3,500, she gave 6,000. So the first place was 3,000, 2,000,
Wow.
and 8,000. So, that's what we used to get back in the days. Um, so I think because the IFBB wants more promoters to be able to have those categories, they give us a little break. But it's across the board. So
Yeah.
yeah, if somebody comes in and say, "Hey, you want to have men's physique and show," I'm willing to put the prize
Yeah.
money and the sanction fee. I'm like, yeah, of course, they have to be approved by the IFBB as well,
Right. Right.
um, just because they don't want so many shows at the same time, the same way, like same shows, the same weekend. So trying to make
Right.
sure that it's not gonna mess up at somebody else's show if it's on that same
Right.
weekend. So,
Right.
but yeah, anybody who wants to come in and sponsor the fitness girls, let's do it. We need more. We need sponsors for these girls.
Yeah, you do. How difficult is it, at the end of the season, and how far out do they say, okay, I want my show to be on June 8th? Do you have to compete for that? And is the thing, okay, well, if you want it on June 8th every year or the first weekend in June, you got to commit to 3 years. How does that all work?
Is that what it for the
Well, like
venue?
how did they determine the shows? Like your show is in June, and I'm assuming that your program is going to be in June 2025, correct?
Yeah, it's always this either the second is I try to keep it the first or second weekend in June.
Right.
Um, and it's always been like that. I actually started promoting in 2004
Mm-hmm.
when I used to live in Chicago, and I had a show there for 2 years. And then, once I moved to Texas, I stopped promoting, and then I got the show back in 2011. But it's just because my show has always been in June.
Right.
So the only time that I had to change it was back in for COVID in 2020. So we had
Right.
to keep moving it. But that they just try, especially if you've been promoting for a while, they try to give those promoters um those days, like
Yeah.
you've been
Well,
there,
they've been
you've been
doing it so long, and it's proven that their show has been
yeah, they just
successful.
want to make sure that everybody's like, so not to be conflicting with somebody else's show. So it's always been about that, those days.
I'm gonna
And
let you
especially
out of here on. No, go ahead. You were gonna
no,
say?
especially with the fitness division too. Like they just don't want two shows the same weekend. And I think that happened
Right.
not too long ago, and it just the numbers were a little bit lower because of that.
Is it easier to promote a show in Texas versus because it's a regional thing? I mean, some people love going to Texas, love going to Tampa versus going to Omaha or wherever. I mean, some promoters. Okay, we're back. And I'm gonna let you out of here on this one. Why is it seemingly that some promoters are more successful than others?
Um, I don't know. It's just it just here in Texas we got like 20 something shows. It's a big
Yeah,
state.
everything's
Um,
big in Texas.
yeah, but I feel like there was a lot of promoters this year kind of struggling with the numbers.
Mhm.
Um, I feel for us the main thing is just to kind of be united and help each other out. I have promoters like Freddie and Bernadette, which
Mm,
they have been helping me a lot too.
right,
When it comes to, hey, like I just, sometimes you have to take your show to another level. You have
right,
to kind of like bring things that people are going to be attracted to. So it's like having a show, you got to save money so you can make that show the next year a little bit better for the athletes. So, what you give to the athletes, treating them with respect, make sure that you give that attention and they give them that. Also, bringing a stage that they're gonna enjoy and they're gonna come back again, and we're gonna tell their friends, you know. that show was great. I want to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is for promoters. It's just sticking together and helping each other out because at the end of the day, we all in the same boat. Um, so that's just the main thing for me.
Lastly, and I promise I'm gonna let you out of here on this one. That you're now promoting your natural show because I wanted you to talk about that natural versus a regular show or one that show that's not natural. Different challenges to promote each one. Which one's easier? What made you go to naturals? Because it's sort of new people starting to see more and more natural shows.
Well, I think the MPC has been always, it's been high. The
Yeah,
natural shows are not new to the MPC.
yeah, but it's
They
becoming
when
more popular now.
Well, yes, because especially here in Texas, there's a lot of natural athletes. And we used to have a few natural shows here, and the promoter actually stopped promoting the show. So then there was no more natural show. So I think the NPC have seen that there is a lot of athletes out there that they want to compete in the NPC because the NPC is the only way that they have to the IFBB and the Olympia and the Arnold, those big shows. Um, so they started to put more natural shows. There's a lot of promoters that been having natural shows in other states for a while. So I remember that I was asking if I could have another show. I wanted to have another second show, and then they
Right,
said, "Hey, what about a natural show?" And I said, "Okay, I will take it."
right.
So the only thing is that I have to for the first few years I'm going to run it together with my show
Hmm.
just to make sure that it grows and it's a little bit easier when it comes to the expenses and all that. But I think a lot of the athlete was it was a little bit weird at first. There was a lot of noises being made here in Texas from
Yeah,
other non-sanctioned federation. Basically,
right.
like there was, they didn't know if why we were doing this, and they just instead of researching that the NPC has does have natural shows.
Right.
They had the Ben Witter Naturals Pro M. They
Hmm.
just they just like to talk. So they are seeing that we are being serious. There's going to be more opportunity to natural athletes. Um, it is challenging, yes, because we have to do a drug testing. In our case, we chose to do the urinalysis instead of the polygraph.
Right.
Some of I think at the Ben Witter they going to do polygraph and the urinalysis for the winners. So
Right.
that's just the main thing that we have to make sure that we are testing those athletes and that it's not, it's legit. Like they have to feel like that. And with my natural show, I want to make sure that the athletes feel the same as in the open. So
Right.
there was no different, the same amount for the entry fee as the open. So everything is the same awards. Nobody's getting something better than the other one. It's all the same.
Gotcha. And then, of course, the urinalysis is done after the show is over,
Yes. So they the top
and
two
that's just
and
an
also
inheritance. Top two.
yeah,
Mhm. And who else?
and also the head judge, he will choose somebody that he thinks, just random.
Random. Mhm.
I'm gonna do that person, but to be honest, like the natural athletes were incredible. There were not that many of them, but the quality was really, really good. We were
Right.
like, "Whoa, why you didn't compete in the open?" And so,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, but it was really good. So I'm hoping, start putting the word out there for next year to make it even bigger and better.
8-time Miss Olympia, Adela Garcia, promoter. Thank you for being so gracious to come on Amazon's podcast. I really appreciate you. Hope to be talking to you in the future. And I'll be checking out your show. Maybe I can come in and try to promote. I'm trying to do, people could say I'm trying to do too much, but that's definitely the way to go to support the female promoters.
Of
As far as my
course.
next phase, support the athletes. Was able to sponsor some athletes. So now I did sponsor one show, Pennsylvania Muscle, which Nikki Politi co-promotes with Gary Udit. So
that's good.
it's all about trying to, especially if I got the Amazon's Fitness Magazine, which is a female magazine or dedicated to women's bodybuilding, then yeah, I need to get into that. So I'm gonna look in that for sure. I promise, and see what I can do. That's the next step for female promoters. Another promise I got to make. I had the magazine's been in existence for 2 years now. I have not had a fitness competitor on the cover nor in the magazine, so I got to fix that. But I got to find them. You know, I got more shows. I'm like, you know, but put the word out because it's all about promoting women's bodybuilding, and definitely got to, I try to promote all 6 divisions, which is appropriate because.
Well, we really thank you for doing that.
Yeah, not at all. Glad to do it, and I'm a fan first, and a photographer, and it's okay to be both. So yeah, I need you guys to make it be successful, bro.
Of course.
So thankful to talk to a female promoter and get your perspective as well. So appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And for the fitness girl, we just got to keep pushing and make people know that we're still around and the fitness division is not going anywhere. It's not dying.
Yeah.
There's just less of us right now, but still good.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep grinding. Let me know if there's anything else I can do or how I can promote as well. But I'll be reaching out as well soon.
Well, thank you so much, Glenn. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Adela. This 8-time fitness Olympia. Thank you. Amazing. Always great to talk to the greats. And she is 8-time Miss Olympia Fitness, Adela Garcia, promoter. And so you got to keep everything going and try to promote the women as much as possible by going to the shows. If you can sponsor a show, sponsor a show. You can sponsor an athlete, do that as well. I will leave you with this. Everybody's not going to be for you, but that doesn't mean that everybody's against you. But you can be sure that everyone is watching. So I will see you next week. More guests coming up on the podcast. I'll put some stuff out on Sunday. So talk soon.